This is Mike Niehuser, founder of Beacon Rock Research for mining clips, and with me is Don Ewigleben, President and Chief Executive Officer and Director of International Tower Hill Mines Limited. That's ITH on the Toronto Stock Exchange and THM here in the States. Don, thanks for joining me.
Thanks. I'm pleased to be with you today.
You know, I saw the feasibility study, the release on that. When is that expected to come out on CDAR, and what are your next steps?
Well, it is, first and foremost, one of the most important next steps in that we have to complete all of the documentation, including the appendices, and then put it on CDAR. We have till September 6th, but we believe we're going to make that date without any problems. Following the submission of that, we then have a lot of conversation with the entities that have confidentiality agreements with us, in that they will be reviewing the entirety of the feasibility study and discussing their models along with our models and comparing notes, for lack of a better term. So one of the things that we'll do immediately is have a continuing conversation with those entities. Secondly, we've got to maintain the environmental baseline activity. We're doing that this summer in the work program that we have. When you have materials that have been collected since 2008 and show that this is a benign property in terms of any environmental issues, community issues, native issues in that regard, you want to maintain that baseline work. So we continue to do that, and we'll maintain the asset, of course, throughout this coming third and fourth quarter. The third thing is we're involved in optimization studies. We learned a great deal from the feasibility study about opportunities outside the realm and inside the realm of that base case. And as you recall, that base case was 100,000 tons per day, or a rather large mine, about 2 to 3 times the size of our neighbor, the Fort Knox property that Kinross has. So we'll be looking to find ways to enhance head grades, try to increase the production years, and have a more aggressive stockpile management strategy than what would have been outlined in the prior FS. We'll be looking to reduce consumption of various lixiviants, certainly cyanide. We know we can reduce the consumption there. We also know we can get a reduced price from what we had envisioned in the FS. We're looking for ways to reduce the cost to get to the power grid. That's $129 million. But we're also looking for ways to reduce the actual cost per kilowatt hour, which was a little over 17 cents per kilowatt hour in the FS, and we now believe it's going to be less than that. So we take these potential opportunities to expand the resource, to find ways to improve the head grade, to determine better operating scenarios, to find a reduced CapEx as well as a reduced OpEx, and basically change the nature of what we found in that particular iteration of the FS to show that we can do it at a lower gold price and have greater rates of return.
What's the status of the permitting?
We're in a phase of the permitting where we've done all that we can do up to the point of putting the application in place. And the simple reason for not having done that is when you have a feasibility study underway, you want to ensure that you know the exact size and level of operation of that particular mining scenario as part of your application. We've certainly learned in the state of Alaska, and you know this team has been worked on many, many projects there, but this is true just about anywhere in the world. If you come in with a particular application, and then you come out with your feasibility and you've changed things 6 ways to Sunday, you will find out that the regulators will not give you the level of credibility that you would otherwise have if you had waited to put your application in place. We have done all that you can do to present the concepts, understand the positions of the regulatory agencies on those concepts, but when we finalize the operating scenario, we then submit the application. So we've done all of the spade work, if you will. And what keeps us from doing that application is 2 things. The fact that we believe we can optimize this existing feasibility study base case, and the conversations with our potential partners leads us to believe they may want something that looks slightly different than what we have. So it wouldn't make sense for us to submit an application today, find that we have a partner tomorrow, they want to make a change in that application, and then we're back in that same little credibility gap. So we will try to do both things at once in a parallel track, ensure that we have an optimized project, ensure that we have an appropriate strategic partner, and then go with the appropriate application to the state and federal agencies.
Well, that's a great answer, because that's kind of what I was thinking in your head, is that you're optimizing the project, really understanding it, getting some additional input from a strategic partner so that when you pull the trigger, it has the greatest chance of moving as rapidly down the path as you can. So that's great. How much cash, by the way, do you have? And with your anticipation of burn, how long will that last?
Well, we finished the second quarter with just under $20 million in the bank, and I'm pleased to say that our cash conservation program, which we put in place in the first quarter, long before the significant drops in gold price, are succeeding well in this company. And you'll note in that July 23rd press release that we said we have adequate capital to run the company through 2014 and 2015 while maintaining our level of activities to move the permitting forward. That means without a partner. If we have a partner between now and the end of 2015, and there's every likelihood that we would, of course, be seeking them to participate, and we would increase the amount of activity that would occur in those 2 years. But in the off chance that gold doesn't continue to go in the way that it is today, and today's a great day to be back over $1,400 gold, if it doesn't continue to go that way, we have to plan for the worst-case scenario. And that worst-case scenario could be less than $1,190 or whatever it was. I think it was $1,193. So we have to plan as if the worst day might come and then work ahead if it improves. So we have enough cash to stay in business doing what we need to do to move the Live and Good project forward throughout 14 and 15. And if we have an opportunity to bring in additional funding through a partner in a joint venture, then we will obviously step up the pace.
Well, your plan certainly seems a good way to continue to de-risk the project as well. Don, thank you so much for talking with me and giving me an update. Well, this again is Mike Niehuser, founder of Beacon Rock Research, with Don Ewigleben, President, Chief Executive Officer, and Director of International Tower Hill Mines Limited. Again, that's on the TSX, that's ITH, ticker symbol, and on the New York markets, it's THM. Thanks again, Don.
Thank you.